Hey, what's up, world? Welcome back to another edition of the Cigars and Bullshit podcast. Yours truly, DJ Bentley. I'm joined with Steve and Frankie, where we're going to talk about another interesting topic this week. It's about cigars and it's about the bullshit. Let's get into it.
I'm going to have a Davidoff Millennium. Full body cigar. Not too big, which I like, because you don't have to put aside 2-3 hours for it. What do you have?
So what I have here is a Shogun from Bloom 101. I believe it's a Connecticut blend, and was handed from you as a gift on one of our occasions. And I appreciate it. So I wanted to try this for the longest time. I'm so excited to get this started with you guys. And yeah, Bentley, what do you got?
So, Alec Bradley brand is another one of my favorites. And this one, Steve actually, he discovered this as well. This one is the Caribbean Cast, though. Remember that one, Steve? This is a great cigar. I love these cigars.
The lounging one, yep.
Yeah, great taste and everything. Constructed real well all the way throughout. I had this one kind of brewing for a minute since we had them last year. I don't know what time that was. We got them. So about a year. So this is
summer, I think, right? No.
Might
have been maybe a little after the summer.
A little after summer. So yeah. So this has been kind of like nice in the humidor, and I decided to bring it out. You know.
I don't remember when we
all
got them, but we kind of did like a group buy and split them up. But it was because I got a couple. Bentley and I sat and had one, and I wasn't expecting much, and that's what was about the stick. I wasn't expecting much. I don't know why.
That's good.
But then we were pleasantly surprised and enjoyed it. We were sitting there going, we got to get a box of these.
Right.
So we got them, and everybody grabbed a few, whether it was 5 or 10 or whatever. You know.
Right.
We all grabbed a handful and split them.
Yeah.
And they don't disappoint. They're a good stick.
Yeah, this is a good stick.
I think that's always a good intention to go into, like, kind of open-minded. Like, for example, if you went to a movie, open-minded, and you're like, I don't know if it's going to be any good. It ends up turning out being really, really, really good.
You might just have
you enjoy it.
okay actors.
Yeah, you're like, all right, wow, the movie was pretty decent. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always a good turnout.
Yeah, I mean, I think in learning about cigars, that is a good point because, again, we talked in the last episode that we were talking is like we touched on it a little bit about how someone will say, "Oh, you got to try a Cuban, you got to try this, you got to try that," and in their opinion, it's a great cigar.
Yep.
But then because everybody has their own individual taste and things that they like. You try something, you're going, that was horrible. So if you keep an open mind and you try something new, you know, you give yourself an opportunity not to bring into that experience someone else's, you know, opinion about it, and then you allow your own taste to develop, you know, and you say, no, I don't like that. That's not for me, you know.
You know what I like to do as a practice when I'm by myself, and I'll keep it clean. I like to read.
No lotion involved in the story, then.
No lotion.
No lotion and tissue in this one.
Socks.
Wow.
Towels.
He said, wow.
That's old school, huh?
No sandpaper.
Oh, wow. S&M, huh?
What I like to do when I'm grabbing a cigar, especially one I've never had before, is I like to quickly look at like a write-up on it.
Yeah, that's
whether it's a review or the maker's notes about what you could expect. Like, and what I try to do is because I don't have the perfect palate. I know I don't. I try to pay attention. Like I said, mostly when I'm by myself, chilling with my man Iggy here. I try to pay attention to what I'm supposed to get out of it. What to expect, whether it's in the first, second, or third, portion of the cigar, whether it's pepper or leather or hay or black cherry or something like that, nuts or whatever. But I try to pay attention to that, to see if I get any of those things. And I don't always get everything that they talk about. Like there's sometimes a cigar could be real complex and have 8, 9, 10 different notes that they say you get. And I'm sitting there going, struggling to try and find them. But for the most part, I'll get at least half of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. One of the things that sticks out a lot is pepper to me, because I'm not a big fan of high pepper cigars. I find a lot of pepper to just be too much.
It's like almost like a bitter.
But sometimes they'll quote something as being a lot of pepper, and I find it more like tolerable.
Yeah.
But I try to do that. I try to look at what it's supposed to be and pay attention to see if I get that.
Then my approach is a little different. What I'll do is I'll try a cigar first. I'll come up with what I think I taste and yada yada yada. Then I'll go and say, okay, what do they have? What about?
I was off.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
So that's what that was. It was nothing.
Exactly. I do it the same research part, but I just do it in an opposite direction because I wanna again have my own opinion about like what was that. And not even psychologically say.
That's a good way to test your.
It is
right. Yeah.
See if you get.
Kind of give yourself
You're
a
right,
test.
though. It's a good opposite approach to the same idea.
Yeah, because I don't want to say, oh, I read up this is supposed to taste like walnut. Yeah, it tastes walnut. I don't know if I'm psyching myself out or not. You know what I mean?
It's a good point.
Yeah, so
Good point.
that's why I do it that way.
They say this one is supposed to have like a hint of black cherry in it as well as other things.
That's such a detailed description, you know?
Very detailed. I feel like you have to be really. You got to have a really good palate. And you got to not mix it up with something else, whether you're drinking a soda or a bourbon or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I think if you really want to get everything out of it, you probably should just have water and clean your palate and let it do its thing.
Yeah.
Because the minute you start putting something else in your tongue, like a Diet Coke or something, you're done.
Yeah, it changes the taste.
You're done.
Completely.
Yeah. This one said that it was supposed to have a little bit of nut in it. I'm not tasting it at all, but it is. It said it was very light to medium, which I definitely feel. It's nice. It's the right color, and to be honest, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying it a lot. I think I only have one of these. But I would definitely, if we were to order, when I saw these were on actually Cigar International, I'd probably pick up one. If we ended up making a trip or something and I saw it there, I'd probably pick up another one, another two.
Or like if we do that road trip.
Yeah, if we do a road trip, I would definitely pick up another two of these.
Lounge or something.
This is a nice mellow cigar, man. Perfect for the podcast.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what's your experience with the pricing of cigar? Because for me, I think I take a backwards approach. I'll go in a humidor and I'll look and I'll say, okay, this is whatever particular brand, whether it be a flavor or whatever, and I don't look at price yet. I'm not looking at price. And then I'll say, okay, maybe they came up with a different flavor if I'm into that, right? I'll look at it and go, okay, cool. Then I'll look at the price and say, oh, okay. Do you think the price of a cigar adds or takes away or gives you any hint to the quality of a cigar?
I'll let you go first, unless you're not ready.
No, I will.
I think I have an idea of what you're going to say.
I will say a lot of people are tricked by the price of a cigar, just like anything else. If it's up here, I'm smoking the most expensive and fancy thing and this and that, but not every $100 cigar warrants $100.
Yeah.
In my short time, and lots of cigars, I've had a few premium, quote-unquote, sticks that they were premium in price, but they weren't worth the $40 or $50 that they were marketed for. The flip side of that is I think that a price could be an indicator of what you could expect or should expect. Just as if you go out to dinner and you spend $14.99 on a steak, you're going to get a $14.99 steak. But if you go to a restaurant and you pay $50 or $60 or $100 for a steak, especially a la carte, that steak better damn well taste like...
Yeah, well,
that's what you're expecting.
You expect it to be that.
So sometimes your mind tells you, "Oh my God, I'm having $100 steak." And
It's not so great.
sometimes you might be disappointed. I think the same goes for a lot of things you could buy. So
I feel like
I think at the end of that, sorry, you gotta make sure you don't trick yourself.
no, it's a good point. Solid point.
But it should be an indicator. It should be an indicator of what you should expect.
I'm also thinking about how it's kept in there. There's been times where I went to a cigar lounge. I bought a $45 stick, $50 stick, and it was either stale or it just wasn't pulling right. And it's like, damn, like
I'm pointing at Bentley because it happened to him.
Yeah, well, no, that's exactly what happened. I got this great steak from what was said, the price and everything, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. I'm gonna enjoy this. Started smoking it, and the whole thing unwrapped, and it was. I was like, what the hell?
End of it. That's a wrap.
And that's kind of what made me also want to get that humidity meter, because I said, I'm paying money for this cigar, and they didn't, as you say, store it properly in a humidor. This thing is like terrible, and I just wasted my money.
It's definitely, and it ruins the whole experience.
Right, exactly.
The lounge and the quality of the cigar and everything else. It's just it kind of get a bad taste in your mouth, and you're like, yeah, I'm done. I mean, it's happened to me in a lounge where I've gotten different cigars. I've gotten a cheap one, expensive one, mid-range, and they were all stale. At that point, it's like I don't even want to go back to that place anymore because I know it's not kept right. What I was planning on doing was collecting labels from different types of cigars that I've been smoking through the years and all that.
Your bands.
Yeah, all the bands, and putting them on these coasters, sticking them on there, putting a nice clear coat on there, have a nice little conversation piece when people come over by the fireplace. You put a little beer there. Oh, these are cool. Where'd you get these? I made them.
There's a lot of places actually doing it. I know that remember we went up to Matador and Roslyn, and they had a box that everybody who was a guest would just throw their bands in there. And they said they actually had a guy who would come by and does cigar band art. But being like a DIY guy like Bentley, I like to play around with things. I might venture to do something myself and give it a shot.
Hey, it doesn't hurt.
Do some epoxy or something and clear them, make something.
Yeah. I think I was telling you I have like so many, and I'm trying to think of the right project myself. What to do with them, but I have like all my bands. I keep them. Yeah. Stick them in a box. Some of them, I have like 2 or 3, and maybe this. Macanudo, but it doesn't matter because eventually it'll come to me, and I don't know. I'll figure out what I want to do with it. But
I think what we saw at the Cigar Lounge was a humidor dressed in all those bands. There was.
There's a guy on Instagram that does cutters and lighters and stuff and everything.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, some people have a talent for stuff like that, and they kind of probably know the whole process with the epoxy or whatever they use, that it makes it work. But one of the cooler things I saw, and I don't know that I would be able to make this at all, but I might actually consider purchasing it. Hint to the wife, is a nice piece of cigar band art that's actually art, not just covering a product in bands. I've seen pictures where they made it look like Jack Nicholson smoking a cigar, but it's all actually made out of cigar bands.
That's crazy.
So they used a different dark and light and this, and it all has a exact purpose as to where it goes, because one band is darker because it represents an eyebrow, and they got his whole lip thing like, with the mouth. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
I've seen it with Schwarzenegger and a few different other popular stars, like actors or whatever, but actually cigar bands that make the picture.
That's not a bad idea. So you could even do like the cigar logo in those particular colors as well.
I'm sure there's a bunch of things they could do. That's a cool piece. I would love to put something like right next to my humidor like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm actually looking into maybe putting like buying like an authentic. I don't know if they would call it retired, but even if it's broken, I don't care. Just something authentic, an actual mold press. Not the actual press that they put, but one of the molds that they would put them together. Whether it's like for whatever cut, you buy like an old mold, and it's just worn and dirty, and it probably has that smell of tobacco still, and just put that as a piece of art in that little area.
There's a cigar lounge that's in Flushing. I don't know if it's still there. This was pre-pandemic. I'd gone to it. A friend of mine suggested I go, so I went and checked it out. The guy has in this lounge all of this old antique stuff. So when you first walk in, you look and you go, this place is like junky as hell, right? Like you get that feeling. But then he has like a phonograph, and he has like an old refrigerator. He has like the old box TV. He has, I don't know, like old vinyl records. He has old women's shoes. Yeah, I mean, it's like
trying to build like the
decor in that place is very eclectic.
I like that.
Really nice place.
But it's done well?
To go have, really done well. And you're sitting there, so not only are you enjoying the cigar, but you're looking around like, oh wow, that's a piece of history. I remember when there was this old lampshade, the lampshade from like Christmas Story, with the lady's leg and the, that kind of.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a real cool decor.
There's that small family-owned cigar factory in New Jersey that I went to that one time. Really nice guy. I'm trying to think if I get it right. Was his mother was either, I think, the first or only tobacco maestro. I think that's what they call it in the States. Female. First woman or something. And the family, I think the place is called Jimenez Cigars. So I had reached out for us and spoke to the guy who runs the New Jersey operation and learned a little bit about the family, that he's got a brother. They have, I think it's in Nicaragua, they have a farm. They have a place in Miami. One of the brothers, I believe his name was Peter, passed away young, and they actually made a cigar after him called Peter's Way, and it came in a nice, like a purple coffin. That was a good stick. But I had reached out to him with the purpose of, we were looking to do something where we wanted to do like kind of like a group of guys take a trip, maybe hit like a tobacco farm somewhere here in Connecticut or something. Do something where you could kind of learn more. Go see the houses that they keep the tobacco aging, the aging houses, and that whole walk in the middle of the farm, touch, smell, taste, smoke a cigar, whatever. We wanted to do something like that. We couldn't find anything local here for New Yorkers, or in the East Coast, at least in this tri-state area.
Yeah.
But I found him and had a conversation with him, and they run an actual small factory. They make only their own cigars. They don't sell anything else like what we have. And they have a very cool lounge. I don't want to use the word eclectic, but there was some older furniture and very high back chairs with the pincushion material and all that. It was just a cool, dark lounge, and they had like a bar, and they had this it was almost like a saloon sort of feel.
Like a speakeasy?
Yeah, it looked almost like a speakeasy or like a saloon sort of feel.
I absolutely love that.
So we had spoke about it, but he said they were going to be undergoing some renovations. So we had put off the trip.
Right.
Because we didn't want to go in the middle of that. Mm-hmm. And then I had a wedding come up in Jersey, and on the way to the wedding, I made sure I went early, stopped by. They weren't even open. And I called the guy, and he actually answered. He was nice enough to come down and open up the place for me because he knows I came from a couple hours away.
Right.
And I bought like one of everything. I bought a lot of stuff. And he threw me a few bones, too, which was really nice. So, yeah, it was a really pleasant experience. We got to go back there. I think, not go back. We got to make a trip there.
Yeah.
But because I think that they're completely done with their renovations, and that might be a nice spot to go.
Maybe we could even take our viewers over there.
Mm-hmm. Jimenez Cigar Factory or something like that. I'll look it up again. But that was a cool experience. I want to go back and actually stay there and enjoy it.
Speaking of when you started telling that story, you talked about women. There's a woman, the only female what do you think about women smoking cigars? I mean, I
I love it.
I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, because I guess initially, right, the history of this country and everything.
Everything's
Women,
everything's
this is like this is a male thing, right?
It's still a male dominant hobby. It still is.
Yeah, well, it may be. And so, what do you think? What if Jen wanted to smoke a cigar? How do you?
Whatever, man. Don't bother me.
I gotta be honest with you. My wife's. I smoke a cigar here and there. She'll take a whiz at right in front of me. Hey, let me try that. She'll try it. She's like, okay, it's a little bitter. I'm like, okay, no problem. And I'm like, what do you think? I go, can you taste anything? You can't really tell. The palate's not there because she doesn't smoke. But to me, I think it's interesting. I love it. I think there was a time me and Steve went to the lounge, and we met a group of ladies that they knew more than I did.
Yeah, they had a whole club or something. They had a club. Yeah. I mean, some other guys came there.
Yeah.
The club wasn't just female, but there had to be 3-4 women that came in.
Yeah, 3-4 women. And then
a couple of guys came, and they were introducing everybody as this is a treasurer, and I'm, this person, and I'm a secretary, and it was good. They had like a cool little group. It was a good idea.
That's a good idea. That's beautiful.
Awesome. I mean, Frank will tell you, I'm not like a club guy because I don't like rules and meetings and dues and all that other nonsense. I like it to be more natural. We're just hanging as friends, man. I don't want to have. I don't like requirements.
Yeah, it becomes work.
It becomes a lot of work.
It's not even a hobby anymore.
I think it's more fun just leaving it like this.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to clubs. It's just that I prefer to just. I don't want to feel obligated to have to do anything at any point in time. I like, hey, you available? You available? Let's get together. And, like I said, I'll smoke by myself. It don't matter.
Yeah, now I have a few female friends. They smoke cigars, and they, the same way we have our, tastes with different cigars, and we've had conversations. I think you remember, Steve. I did a cigar bar type of thing, and I had guys. It was like a virtual thing. This was like pandemic time, so there were 2 ladies that one of them joined. One joined later. It was like, oh, I missed out, but she gives me feedback. We have conversation about it. What's her taste? What's her favorite cigars and things like that.
Yeah, just good.
I think I mean, let's be real. Like you said, it's definitely one of these male dominant worlds with the cigars. I mean, the guys who make them to the guys who smoke them. But if you ever notice in any footage you look at, it's a million women making these cigars.
Yeah, and that was my experience when I went.
So I could only imagine that they know more than I do.
They probably
There's
know
no way.
lot,
And let's face it, it doesn't take testosterone to enjoy a cigar. It doesn't matter. It's just that I think that women maybe look at it as like, or in the past, looked at it as more like a masculine or disgusting habit.
Yeah.
But women smoke cigarettes and men smoke cigarettes back in the day, like equally.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think it's something that it's preferential. Today that doesn't really hold weight to anything. I don't think there's any. Doesn't matter what you are. I just think as if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. End of story. I don't like posers though. I don't like posers.
Someone takes like a $50 stick and is like, oh yeah.
So it's so funny. I was watching.
I got to talk about posers.
You watch. We can talk about it. You watch Below Deck, that series. You ever watch that series? So I'm watching. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was might have been not Mediterranean, but maybe it was. Let
me correct myself.
So
I don't watch it, but I've seen it once or twice.
Yeah. So with this one episode, right? These guys get on, and they're like, they're first of all they're very demanding or whatever, but it gets to the point where they're like, we want to have a cigar night. So I was like, wow, this is interesting. They're on a yacht. The whole premise of the story. It's like these people who rent these yachts, the experience of this luxury yacht, and they may go out, they may do the water toy, and then they do an excursion where they go to the beach. They'll have this.
They'll go snorkeling or something.
Yeah, all of that. Right?
Coral reef or whatever, right?
Yeah, and this episode, they said, well, we want to have a cigar night. So we're talking about poses, right? They get there, they have the cigars for them, and the guys take the cigars out. They're like, yeah, we want to smoke cigars, yeah. They take the good cigars, and they light them from this end, and they're smoking them.
No.
Boy, they're on TV, right? And so the staff is like, wait a minute. First of all, like I said, they're very demanding guests anyway. They go,
That's just embarrassing.
Cigars. The staff is like, wait a minute. One of the ladies, one of the female crew, she goes,
Oh my God! Don't tell me.
aren't they smoking them backwards? She's like, yeah, I thought so. The other guy's like, oh, what a group of dicks. You know what I mean? Posing that they,
They're demanding to do a cigar
they
night,
wanna smoke
and they
these
don't even.
cigars.
It's like, have you even ever had one?
they were smoking the cigars backwards.
Tell me.
All of them.
Oh, I gotta see that episode now.
Oh,
You
now I'm
gotta,
curious
You gotta
about that.
find it and send it to me.
Oh God!
I'll find it and send it to you. That was hilarious.
I don't,
But in terms of posers, I mean, that to me, this is maybe
That's
an
a perfect
extreme
example.
case, but that's
that's a perfect example.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Cigar and Bullshit podcast. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Just hanging out with my friends, sharing experiences that help you take away something interesting and maybe some information that you didn't know. So make sure you tune into the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast.